Hi, I'm Don Stanek. I'm your instructor for Certified Sales Interrogator. Now you've got a really good understanding about the different story points and story chapters that you need to understand, which are experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements, and motivation. How do we get from point A to point B? Well, we have to ask questions. The questions that we're asking, I don't want them to feel like an interrogation. I don't want them to feel too aggressive. I want them to feel natural and conversational. But we still have to get to our main objective, which is what is the story. So we have a variety of different types of questions that are at our disposal. I recommend that you take some time and take a lot of notes during this segment. We're going to talk about open-ended questions, closed-ended questions. We're going to talk about tie-downs. We're going to talk about light commands. And we're also going to talk about conditional statements. By the time you're done with this chapter, you should be able to take your story categories and your types of questions and start formulating some really excellent discovery and interrogation questions. The goal here is to get your customer talking, and open-ended questions are a really good staple to be able to do that. Open-ended questions start with the words who, what, where, when, why, and how. They're designed to help you get more information from your customer. For example, what type of home do you currently live in? When were you thinking about making a move? What types of properties have you already seen? What is it about your current home that you don't prefer? So it causes someone to have to say something more than one word. And they have to think about it. They got to pull it out of them, right? Now, closed-ended questions, still very important. Those are questions that you're going to get a yes, a no, or a one-word answer. Now, if I asked, what type of home do you currently live in? Someone could say, big. All right, well, maybe that's not a big conversation starter, but the goal is to be able to blend and mix. Well, what type of home do you currently live in? Well, we live in a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-story home with 2-car garage. Oh, okay. So what is it about that house that that no longer meets your needs? Well, we were really thinking about, a 3-car garage and maybe a home office. Okay, great. We started into a conversation and we're using who, what, where, when, why, and how, right? So the closed-ended question is a yes, no answer or a one-word answer. So I might say something like, are you happy with your current home? Yes. No. What's your favorite color? Blue. Now, one-word answers aren't a problem because they are giving you some information, and they're typically used to give you very specific pieces of information. For example, Bill, we showed you 2 homes today, and which one do you prefer, home A or home B? Oh, home B. Now, the thing is, I'm not going to just let that hang out there. I'll say, well, what was it specifically about that second home that you preferred? And then I'm going to let Bill continue to talk. Open-ended questions are who, what, where, when, why, how. A closed-ended question is going to give me a yes, no answer or a one-word answer. Tie-downs are incredibly important also. A tie-down is a strategic statement that a sales professional is using to make sure that we're on the same page or that we are in alignment with the customer's expectations. In fact, the word alignment and expectation are probably good words to use when utilizing a tie-down. When it comes to asking questions, it kind of makes sense to have a system, doesn't it? It's a tie-down. I made a statement about asking questions and the importance and the strategic importance of it. I wanted to make sure that this person is in alignment with my thinking. How do I utilize this in real estate? Well, really simple. I might show 1 or 2 homes or 3 homes, and one of the properties that we've walked into, the customer's giving a lot of favorable head nodding, and they feel like maybe they're placing their furniture, and I can just kind of intuitively know that this is probably a really good property for them because the way they're interacting with it as I'm showing the home. So I leave. I put the key back in the lockbox. At which point we're still standing on the front porch, and I turn to them and I say, "What do you think? This home seems like it's pretty good, doesn't it?" And they say, "Yeah. As a matter of fact, it does." Now, I'm not going to say that unless I'm 100% or very likely that I'm going to get a favorable response. That's really what the nature of a tie down is. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have that person express that I'm on the right page, we're moving in the right direction, it feels good, you're helpful. Another thing I might say to a customer after we sees a couple of homes, and I might stop and say, so this afternoon we saw several houses. Do you feel like it was beneficial? Do you feel like this process, is helpful? Oh yeah, no, you're helpful. You're really helpful. Why do I want to get? I want someone to say it out loud, articulate that. I'm the professional and I'm helpful. I'm the professional and I'm helpful. I'm not trying to have a conditioned response. What I'm trying to do is make sure this person understands that I'm with them and that I'm available and that I'm paying attention and I'm measuring. A tie down is an excellent way to measure your relationship and measure your where you are in the process. One of my favorite types of questions really isn't a question at all. It's called a light command. No longer is it an interrogative, but it's actually a statement encouraging participation. So I might say something like, tell me a little bit about your current home, or share with me, or help me understand, or could you add some additional detail, right? So what am I doing here? It's going to be very difficult for this person just to give me a one-word answer, and it's going to be really difficult or maybe even awkward for them to not share something. Now, the other thing the light command does particularly well is it helps the person express whatever it is they really have as a burden at that moment on their heart. So there's a saying, and that is, from out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth confesses. When you're interrogating someone or you're in the discovery process, you don't know what their level of motivation is to transact. You have really maybe no idea initially. Now, someone's willingness to talk to you is going to give you a really good idea as if they're motivated to do something. But then sometimes people are shy. There's cultural differences that makes interrogation maybe too confrontational. So the light command is a gentle way to give someone the license to express whatever it is they need to express. So I might say, help me understand a little bit about your current living situation. Now, I didn't say, do you rent or did you buy? Do you own something or do you rent or are you contingent? I didn't say any of that. What I did was said, help me understand your current situation. And all of a sudden, maybe the answer is like this. Well, we live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, and we're saving for a down payment. We're already working with a lender. Well, gosh, I certainly got a lot of information out of just asking one question. And the key to great interrogation and discovery is just that. Can this person be made comfortable enough for them to start talking? The light command does this particularly well. The other thing it does is it helps this person focus on the thing that's most important to them. And as a sales professional, that probably should be the thing that's most important to you as well. You're not going to be able to guide someone through a logical sequence of presentation and discovery unless they trust you and they're talking to you and they're kind of broken out of their own agenda. If you give them an opportunity to express themselves, they're going to have a little bit of closure and they're going to be much more willing to help you guide them through this process that you're going through. It's a process of discovery. The light command does this particularly well. I would encourage you to write down as many samples and examples of light command as you possibly can. Okay, last but not least are conditional statements. Conditional statements are designed to help you help your customer compare left and right, or this and that. If this was the case, would it be okay for this thing? The human mind doesn't really contemplate 3 or 4 things well simultaneously, but we can compare and contrast. And the conditional statements that you make as a sales professional are really designed to help your customer sort through these things. So an example would be, well, of the 3 homes we saw, did you like the first one better than the second one? Yeah, I actually like the first one better than the second one. Okay, if we were to compare the first home to the third home, the one on Main Street, what are your thoughts about that? Yeah, you know what? I definitely still like the first one better. Great. So I've compared and contrast and eliminate with conditional statements. Also, within the area of conditional statement, might be an if-then setup or an if-then situation or if-then statement. If we were able to keep your payments around $2,500, then would you want to go forward with this third home? If-then statements are about really helping this customer compare the pain and suffering of the payment. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Is that my threshold? Gosh, I really like these features, but those features come along with this price tag. And what I'm not doing is saying this price tag and that price tag and this feature and that feature and this feature. What I'm doing is paring this down into a logical place where a customer can say left or right, left or right. Eventually, as you guide this person through a sequence of these, you're going to start getting a really clear picture of what their needs and their wants are. And then also, hey, what's their capacity? What's their affordability? All these other different things that are going into your discovery methodology. These past two chapters are absolutely filled with a ton of great information. And I would encourage you at this point in the process to take a deep breath and to go back and take a look at the story categories: experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements, and motivation. And this past chapter, which is what are the mechanics involved with developing these questions: open-ended question, a closed-ended question, light command, tie down, conditional statements. How do these two things start to fit together so that you can formulate questioning strategy in order for you to be able to go forward successfully through the rest of the program? You need to have mastery of these two chapters. If for any reason you're struggling, I'm available to you. Please get on my calendar. You can do so by emailing me or going to my website directly, and I will help you one-on-one until you get it. I can't tell you how important this is. It's going to determine what your income is going to be for the rest of your profession.